The sun hung low over Pinebrook County, casting a golden haze across acres of wheat as the cicadas buzzed lazily in the tall grass. Eli Granger leaned back in his creaky porch chair, a straw hat tilted over his eyes, and his old bloodhound, Rufus, stretched out beside him snoring like a chainsaw with asthma. This land had been in Eli's family since before the county had a name, and in all that time, peace was measured not by silence but by the steady rhythm of life crops, seasons, the whistle of the wind over the barn roof. At least, that's how it was until a sharp slam of a car door tore through the quiet like a slap across the face. Eli pushed his hat up and squinted toward the gravel driveway. A sleek, spotless black SUV sat parked like a spaceship landed in the middle of his dust-worn domain. Out stepped a woman in a stark white pantsuit, her heels sinking into the dirt with every step as if the land itself rejected her presence. She held a bright yellow paper like it was the sword of justice, and her expression screamed she thought she was doing him a favor. "Excuse me," she called, waving the paper like an angry traffic cop. "Are you the property owner?" Eli stood slowly, stretching the ache from his knees. "Yes, ma'am. Elijah Granger. My family's worked this land going on 4 generations. What can I do for you?" The woman gave him a once-over, her lips curling ever so slightly at the sight of his faded flannel shirt, mud-crusted jeans, and the boots that had more miles on them than her luxury SUV. "I'm Clarissa Whitmore," she said crisply, president of the Pinebrook Vista Homeowners Association. One of them. "This," she continued, shoving the paper into his hands, "is a formal notice of violation." Eli frowned and unfolded the paper. Pinebrook Vista was the new development across the road, a pristine collection of oversized houses stacked like Monopoly pieces, guarded by rules stricter than prison wardens. "Violation," he said, scanning the letter. "Ma'am, I'm not part of your HOA." Clarissa gave a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Your barn," she said, gesturing with a perfectly manicured hand, "is a blight. It's an eyesore that's reportedly depreciating the value of our premium view homes by 15%. Eli turned toward the old barn. Sure, the red paint was faded and a couple shingles needed mending, but it had stood strong through hailstorms, droughts, and one very determined tornado in '92. "That barn's been here since 1937, he replied. "It's done its job longer than any of your premium properties have existed." "Well," Clarissa sniffed, "this is 2025. Standards evolve. We expect it painted or demolished within 30 days. She pointed to the bottom of the notice. "Failure to comply will result in a $200 daily fine. Elias Yov Deuteneth. I think there's been a mistake. Your HOA doesn't have jurisdiction here." Clarissa's smile sharpened. "We'll see about that." Then, as if nothing significant had just happened, she turned toward his east field. "And what exactly are you growing over there?" "Winter wheat," Eli replied. "Same as always." She tapped something into her phone. "Interesting. The board will want to know about this." Without another word, she clicked back to her SUV and drove off, tires spitting gravel as she went. Eli stared after her, then down at the notice again. A sticky note was attached at the bottom, handwritten in tidy loops. "Let's discuss the east section. Call me." He crushed the paper in his hand and shoved it into his pocket. These city folks didn't know the first thing about land. They thought they could come in, plant a few rose bushes, and dictate to farmers how the earth should behave. They had no idea who they were messing with. That night, as a pot of chili simmered on the stove, Eli's phone rang. He wiped his hands on a dish towel and answered. "Eli, you sitting down?" It was his old friend Rick Alvarez, now the county clerk, and his voice sounded tighter than a drum. "What's wrong, Rick?" Eli asked. "Snake in your file cabinet again?" "I wish," Rick exhaled. "Clarissa Whitmore came in today with some documents about your east field. She's filing permits." "Eli Ferozze." "Permits for what?" "She says that a community garden. Maybe a pool. Tennis courts." "Eli." "She's claiming that section belongs to their development. Says it was never properly surveyed when your granddad bought the adjoining plots." "That's insane. I've got deeds in my cabinet right now." "Well, she had papers too. Look official. Stamped and signed." They're planning to break ground tomorrow morning. Eli's heart sank. Tomorrow? I tried to stall her, Rick said. But everything's been fast-tracked. Eli didn't even touch his dinner. He tore through filing cabinets and boxes until midnight. Finally, nestled between an old property tax stub and a handwritten letter from his grandfather, he found it the original deed from 1937, along with the parcels purchased in the 40s and 50s. Clear as crystal, the east field was his. But something else caught his eye: a more recent survey from 5 years ago. It showed a discrepancy about 15 feet, likely due to more accurate GPS technology. He hadn't paid it much mind back then, but now he realized that sliver of confusion might be the crack Clarissa was driving her bulldozer through. He dialed Rick, straight to voicemail. Next, he called Sheriff Clayton Barnes. The line clicked after 2 rings. Sheriff Barnes. Clayton, it's Eli Granger. I think they're planning to illegally bulldoze part of my land tomorrow. The sheriff sighed. I got a call about that. Sounds like a property line dispute. It's not a dispute. It's theft. Let's not jump to accusations, the sheriff said. I'll be out there first thing in the morning. No machines move without my say. You better beat them there, Eli growled. Because if not, I'll handle it myself. He hung up and stared out at the darkened wheat fields, heart pounding. Something was wrong. This wasn't just about a barn or a field. No, there was something bigger in play. And then it hit him. Carson Creek. The only freshwater stream for miles. It ran right through his east field. Pinebrook Vista had been complaining about water pressure for months. They weren't just trying to take his land. They were coming for his water. Eli stayed up all night combing through his grandfather's old papers. Around 3 a.m., he found a brittle county map from 1962. It didn't just show his farm, it revealed something far more shocking. His family had once owned every square foot of land within a 30-mile radius, including where Pinebrook Vista now stood. At sunrise, the sound of engines snapped the dawn silence. Eli ran outside barefoot. 3 bulldozers rumbled down the gravel path. Clarissa's SUV led the way, followed by HOA board members sipping lattes like it was a Sunday brunch. Sheriff Barnes was nowhere in sight. The first bulldozer cracked through his fence like it was balsa wood. 3 hours later, Eli stood in Rick's office, buried in files and land surveys. Dust rose with every frantic turn of a page. Got something, Rick called, spinning his monitor around. Original county parcel map. Signed off by. Eli's stomach dropped. Judge Nathaniel Whitmore, he read aloud. Clarissa's grandfather. Rick nodded grimly. He knew exactly where your land started and stopped, which means this whole misregistered claim is complete bull. Before Eli could react, a text popped up on his phone. HOA emergency meeting tonight. Talking phase 2. Phase 2. They were coming for more. At home, Eli dragged a heavy trunk down from the attic and cracked it open. Inside were old maps, ledgers, a rolled-up leather folder stamped Pinebrook County water rights. He flipped it open, and there it was. The water that fed all of Pinebrook Vista ran through Grangerland. Access was granted only by conditional easement, an easement Eli could revoke. He dialed a number he hadn't called in years. Sandra, he said when she picked up. Elijah Granger, came the familiar voice. What's the crisis? I'm about to go to war with 200 homeowners. You free? I'll be there in 2 hours. That evening, Eli walked into the HOA clubhouse like a thunderstorm in denim. Clarissa stood at the front, flanked by colorful posters showing walking trails, pools, and tennis courts that would devour another 10 acres of Eli's wheat fields. Polite applause echoed. One man in golf pants asked, "Won't that farmer complain?" Clarissa smiled. That land was never legally his. And then Eli stepped forward. Evening, everyone, he said, calm but unwavering. Name's Elijah Granger. I'm that farmer. The room fell silent. I come bearing facts. He placed a yellowed map on the overhead projector, the original county parcel map, signed by Judge Whitmore. Murmurs spread. Then he displayed the Granger Trust. His family still held mineral and water rights to the entire 30-mile zone. Gasps. Then came the easement agreement. The water under your homes? flows through my land, and easements, as you know, can be revoked. Clarissa's smile vanished. You're bluffing, she snapped. Then explain this, a voice boomed. Sheriff Barnes entered, flanked by Rick and 3 county officials. They carried a box labeled evidence. This meeting is now part of an official investigation, Barnes said. We have reason to believe records were forged. Chaos. Clarissa's vice president, Brent Owens, stammered into a mic. This is outrageous. Is it? Sandra strode in, legal briefs in hand. Because the permits for your community garden? They're signed by a clerk who retired in 2019. More gasps. We also have financial records, Sandra continued. Wire transfers from HOA funds. Straight into Clarissa Whitmore's personal account. Clarissa went pale. A homeowner shouted, Are we living on stolen land? Sheriff Barnes stepped up. Clarissa Whitmore, you're under arrest for fraud, falsifying records, and conspiracy to commit land theft. Click. The cuffs snapped shut. Clarissa screamed. You'll regret this. This is my community. 2 deputies hauled her out as phones recorded and voices shouted. Outside, the media was already arriving. Eli stepped back, watching the empire crumble. But it wasn't over. Not yet. At midnight, Rick called. Eli, your barn's on fire. By the time he got there, it was ash. The next morning, a drone buzzed overhead. Standing at the edge of his property was Karen Whitmore, Clarissa's aunt, the real puppet master. She thought this was still a game, but she didn't know the truth. Eli didn't just own his farm. He owned the entire damn county. They found the original 1901 charter signed by Eli's great-grandfather, granting his family development rights, water rights, mineral rights, and easement control over all of Pinebrook County. Karen had been buying land under forged pretenses, but now she was about to lose it all. At a town hall packed wall to wall, Eli laid out everything: the scams, the forgeries, the land grabs, and the ultimate document, the 1901 charter. This land, Eli said, was never legally removed from my family's trust. The room went dead quiet. You built on stolen land. You bullied farmers. You bulldozed wheat fields on land you didn't own. Karen stood. This is a lie. Sheriff Barnes stepped up. Karen Whitmore, you're under investigation. She tried to run. She didn't get far. As deputies led her out, Eli turned to the crowd. This community forgot where it came from. But not anymore. The HOA dissolved. The land was restored. And across Eli's property line, children planted sunflowers, a living fence of golden memory. Rick clapped him on the back. You didn't just save your farm, Eli. You saved this town. Eli tipped his hat and never let go of the land again.